Aaron and Eric, thank you so much for being on the live stream today. I know that many of our customers and folks in our communities have really wanted to hear about your backgrounds and to get to know you a little, so thanks for being a part of it. I just want to give everyone a little background on who you are, what you do here, and your background and your history prior to Avid CNC, and then we'll get into some of that amazing lore and legend of CNC router parts and kind of how it's become what it is today. So Aaron, can you give us a little bit of your background and tell us about you?
Sure. Yeah. Well, I guess I will say this madness started with me. My first job out of college was working for a pick and place robotics company that did high-end machinery. And then that's sort of where I got the bug for this CNC thing, using some of the parts from those machines that were not good enough. And from there, I did do a brief stint. I should say I had my degrees in mechanical engineering, so I worked for them, and then worked for Philips Sonicare for a little while out on the West Coast before this thing really got kicked off. So yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
Yeah. Well, I'm Eric. Aaron and I are good friends. We go way back. I think we met about 5 minutes after respectively finishing college back in North Carolina. I have a background. My degrees are in math and computer science, and I worked in logistics, software, warehouse management, inventory management, supply chain, all the supply chain stuff for a long time. Also took a brief left turn and worked in medical imaging and scientific image management software for a few years as well. I think CNC Router Parts is, as our original name, really just came about as a good idea and an opportunity, and two of us that had a pretty complementary skill sets to make something like that happen without too much effort and without too much forethought at the time when we wanted to, when it was just a side gig for both of us.
Right. So it started as a side gig, and I think I've heard lovingly referred to as for beer money, which is such a kind of a fun way to see how a lot of small businesses start here and grow into quite a full-blown business company. You have many employees that you support, and you've built this incredible infrastructure, which is today Avid CNC. So can you tell us a little bit about how that got started? Why did you want to make router parts, CNC router parts?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping there's some people here who have been around long enough that somebody bought something off the original website, which was just like a white background with some PayPal buttons on it and a couple of pictures. And I should also say that, like, anybody who has issues or is not a big fan of the website in its current format, most of that's my fault, just from forcing us into some things in the past. But regardless, the way that things started, it really was around just making parts to support a personal machine that I designed using some leftover parts from the company I worked for. I sent some parts out for quote to a couple of machine shops, and one of the machine shops, who we still work with today and has grown with us, came back and said, it's this much for the 3 you want and this much for 20. So I said, well, let's get 20 and see if we can sell them. So that's sort of how it started.
Can I ask you what you wanted to make with your router? Because
I wanted to make a router. Just a machine nerd, really. I mean, I've had some ideas about signs and things like that, but mostly I wanted to make a machine.
Cool.
Yeah, I think that's emblematic of our early days too. I mean, our original customer base was really do-it-yourself machine builders, way back, and that's how we started, and that's the genesis of the name CNC Router Parts. For several years, for several years, that was an appropriate name, and it really reflected what we did. That fell apart pretty quickly, and then 10 years later we fixed that problem, but
That's right.
settled on our name to reflect what we do today and have done for quite a while now. But yeah, it's been it was an exciting opportunity to partner together and launch a company in this very sort of authentic authentic way. There's plenty of companies that are marketing driven, and you have an idea and venture capital and you want to launch something and be successful in that way. But this was very much not the opposite of that. It was a very, it's some solutions to some specific problems. We had the drive to kind of start it and get it going, and just sort of self-funded and then launch it from the ground up and kind of do it our way. We've both worked at very small companies. We've both worked at very large companies. We had a good, I guess at this point, less than half our careers, but at the time, the good portion of our careers behind us, and had learned a few things, and just sort of one of those magic moments when you can, when you actually have an opportunity to sort of, put your money where your mouth is, I guess, and do that. Like, well, if it were up to me, here's how I would do it. Well, boy, did we learn a lot from that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I guess you might not have in those early days been able to even predict that it was going to grow into the opportunity for you to get to make those decisions. It started, CNC Router Parts started circa what year? How old are we now?
It was around 2008 that it really started. And yeah, I think you're right, Sammy. I think we were both surprised at how many sort of like-minded spirits there were, and still are, people who want to build their own machines. And obviously our customer base is broader than just people who want to build machines at this point. We have a lot of people who run businesses and, are relying on our products for all sorts of really interesting applications. But yeah, at the time, I think we were surprised that this was as big of a market as it has turned out to be. And that's part of what drove us, I think, to say, hey, we should do something with this. This is really cool.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. When this was a beer money enterprise, it was. I think it's safe to be honest and say, like, the thought of, like, selling an entire CNC machine sounded pretty terrible just based on the logistics of it,
Right.
And it wasn't until it a couple of years later, when it had really taken off and we had the resources and energy and honestly, became our full-time gigs to really say, okay, well, now that's exactly what we want to do. Let's design this thing. Let's design machines, and let's do it right. And let's kind of relaunch ourselves as a machine company.
Right.
Yeah. Now, a funny side story about how we stumbled into this. I do remember Eric coming out to the West Coast. He was still in North Carolina at the time, to visit my garage where the inventory was. And, I'd gotten some decent organization and shelves in there. And Eric comes in, he's like, well, we should really count the inventory and see what you have. And we counted it up, and it was a lot. It was worth a lot. He's like, do you have a lock on your garage? And I was like, well, no.
I believe the first question is, do we have any insurance? Like, you even have a lock on the garage?
Yes, right. So we've come away since then, and I do appreciate having somebody who thinks about those sorts of things.
Yep, that's when we started started doing everything correctly from the supply chain, procurement, all that sort of all those activities, and really took care of all those details and that you need to actually run a successful company. But we're lucky, and it didn't take too long for me to want to relocate out here too. We're in a pretty amazing area of the world. I couldn't pick a more beautiful and just so many adjectives you could pick. It's just an amazing place to live here in the Pacific Northwest, outside of Seattle, in a small town, where we're nestled in the mountains, and it's easy living, and we get to compete on who had the shortest commute to work. It's a real when it's under a half a mile for both of you, it's a pretty beautiful thing.
Yeah, North Bend is also where Twin Peaks was filmed. Fun fact for everybody who cares. It's such a beautiful place. I'll have some footage right here. Can you tell me about a few of like the first employees? I know that we have a couple of folks who've been with the company for quite a long time, and that they've been super dedicated from early on, and I'd love to recognize them.
Our first hire, who's still with us now, is a guy named Mark, who we hired before I moved out here. I was spending quite a bit of time, several weeks a year at least out here. So on one of my visits, we met with him, and this is again predates either one of us really being our full. We hadn't left our full-time jobs yet, but we needed someone to ship orders and manage the inventory, and that was I probably a bigger impact on Aaron than me in terms of, because he was the one handling that before me.
The dark days pre-Mark, man, boy, those were some long evenings getting things packed up. But Mark is a character. He's still with us.
Always such a kind smile and a welcoming personality when I get to come up and visit the headquarters. So awesome.
Yep.
We're proud of how many employees we have on our team who've been with us for a really long time. We try to make this. We pride ourselves on this place being fun and a good place to work, and I like seeing the same faces and people that have been with us for forever. I think it's worth, again, early story, but one of the people who work in our operations team, Denise, has been with us almost as long, arguably just as long or longer in a more part-time.
Right, because she used to babysit for me while I was working at night. So
yeah, there were infants involved when we were first launching this, and trying to explain to an outsider who to what all these parts were and how they go together and how they should be shipped, I think was quickly supplanted by like, how about I take this baby and watch it, and and you do that.
That's right, and you pack parts.
and then slowly changed to a more traditional role as she came on and started to manage our parts and manage our help manage our production team at the time. Still with us today, managing a lot of those parts and keeping all those hundreds of thousands or millions of bolts and screws and in stock and accounted
really
for.
Impressive. Whenever I go and visit the production team, she knows that inventory like the back of her hand. It's amazing and just so cool.
Oh geez, there's so many people now, huh? It's I think we have a lot of videos that show the team. It's worth I
think Corey was our first sales guy that we he worked for a vendor who made some parts for us, and was pretty excited to come on board. He was pretty excited even before he left that vendor. He was pretty excited when I stopped working at Philips to work full time at CNC Router Parts at the time, and I remember him giving me some bottle of champagne as part of the parts pickup that we got.
Sweet.
So yeah, he's been with us for a while as well.
Yep, our lead engineer Drew. Although my memory is skewed by time these days, it doesn't seem like he's young enough to. It just doesn't seem possible he's been with us as long as he has, but he really has been with us for many years now. And we met him at one of our first career fairs where we were looking to recruit and build a real engineering team when we decided it was time to do that so many years ago. And we brought on, again, we've had, I mean, we're just so proud of the team we've built. We've got an incredible group of people. It's kind of cliche to say that, but it's, again, it's just been sort of, just finding the collection of people that we have, some of which are an awful lot of local people we've met in town and live in the Snoqualmie Valley here that make up our operations team. It's amazing to kind of be our little community, part of this bigger community here. And also groups of people that we've worked with in the past, in past lives and past careers, being able to, build a company up to the size we have today and recruit them in. Some of the top people I've worked with, a couple of them work with us now. Our lead software architect is somebody I've been working with, honestly, longer than I've known Aaron, or about the same. Sorry, that's not true. See, I can't keep anything straight anymore.
It's close though. It's close.
We can draw
No
a
offense
timeline
taken.
right here.
No.
But goes back to before this century, so so we've got our software group has grown up quite a bit as well, and we've got a great team there, and our support organization has made up of a number of people we hired to work as customer support representatives, but also people who started in other areas of the company and got to know our products and parts and worked with customers in other aspects and grew into that role as well. So just supporting that and kind of watching people's careers start and grow with us and, have 4, 5, 10 years in some case with us at this point is pretty amazing. Yourself too, Sammy, meeting you a few years ago and seeing everything you're doing and having the opportunity to bring you on and work in the capacity you have and seeing everything you do today is amazing. It's selfish for me to say, but man, it's really nice for a big part of your job to get out of the way and let other people do what they do, and really make an impact. So different from when you're launching a company and it feels like there's two of you and you have to do everything. That's probably the most rewarding part of this for me has been to, build it up to a fairly large small company and see everybody else, grow and take over and do such great things.
Yeah. I mean, our team is remarkably dedicated and passionate and creative. And I think that like Eric and I find ourselves in the role of, at this point, like a lot of our time is spent helping implement the good ideas that other people in this company have had. There's still strategy and there's still, leadership and managing of people. But in a lot of cases now it's like, let's, there's a lot of great ideas coming from all areas of this company and just, working on organizing resources to bring those ideas to reality is a unique and fun part of this job.
Yeah. And I really like the fact that the sort of, if we had enunciated or like really thought out our core values early on and stated them, which of course you don't do when it's two of you starting a company, or, in the beginning, but they were there and we've continued them to today, I think. And it is that like authenticity. We're still not a marketing driven company. We're still a company driven by like doing real things. We like to like our you know better than us these days, but our marketing efforts, such as they are really around highlighting our customers that are doing amazing things with our products, and sometimes putting our products in the hands of people that we know will do amazing things with them so that everyone can see what they do. It's not about talking about our products really or trying to sell them. It's about just showing what they can do and showing how we can enable creation, making things, production, whatever the context is. it's to support all that and really grow in that same kind of, I keep using the word authentic, but that same authentic way. It's just I'm really proud of that. We've held on to that, and that in all aspects of the company. It's sort of, what are the best ways to do this? What can we offer to our community out there to make this better? Sometimes that's great for our bottom line. Sometimes there's compromises there, but we've held on to that core value all along the way, and we love having the really thousands of customers we have now. Like we've had a very stable product line for a long time. We have machines that we're very proud of, and we were very focused on supporting all of those customers and people with our machines from over the years. We love making new stuff, but we really put a lot. I think the effort I'm most proud of, and I think we're most proud of, is what goes into supporting all those existing customers and making sure all that cool thing can be added to your machine that you bought 6 years ago. Right. So that nothing's ever obsolete or nothing's ever not upgradable. Like we want everybody to have those opportunities.
Sure. Yeah, and I think that extends to our employees too. I'm impressed with how many of our employees know how to use our machines and use them regularly. And then there's a pretty high percentage of them who actually have machines at their houses and have crammed them into places where maybe you normally wouldn't fit a machine, but just wanted one so that they could do some of this stuff outside of the shop. So yeah, it's that authenticity thing. It extends to just the people who work for us being interested in this. I mean, Sammy, how many machines do you have access to? Probably more than we do.
3, 4. I mean, it maybe more if I can count other spaces, but it's what I will say about the authenticity in regards to how we present, ourselves and our work to the world, is that it's interesting because it's hard to almost call it marketing, because I don't have a marketing background. I have a background in sculpture and in manufacturing and digital fabrication and education. So the work that I do is collaborating with creators and our customers and presenting it in a way to make sure that our customers and what we do as an organization is to make sure that the customers are successful. And that's kind of an interesting thing, how your company, Avid CNC has grown mostly by word of mouth, by the fact that customers have had such good experiences working and collaborating with us and growing their own businesses or their hobbies, depending on what the work is that they're doing, and then it can authentically grow. So it's an interesting thing that I can get to present the work that we do, the machines that we build, but really all it is the customers are having excellent experiences because of their phone call with someone on the customer support team, or their experience just by using the instructions to assemble their machine, and that was a quality experience, or the beautiful packaging, the time that it was took by someone on the production team to pack a machine, and just like that amazing feeling when you open the box, your CNC parts arrive on your front porch. Just those are the genuine experiences that we all want out of most things that we interact with, and people, whether it's a person or a machine or a company, we want to have that like just warm fuzzies, and that's what you get is I think really what you've worked to provide on many different facets of the work that's done by all the different departments, and you put that together, and this is what you get, right? It's an authentic way rather than trying to, for us to tell folks what they need,
Right. Yeah, I think helping people with the products that we sell it's about getting them through the process of learning CNC. In a lot of cases, it's not just about getting the right piece of equipment into somebody's hands. And so I think that's something that Eric and I are both extremely proud of, that we really do care about making CNC accessible to people. That's one of our core values as well. And part of that is, convincing people that it's something that they can do, and then supporting them after they decide to make that leap with us.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. Being a service-oriented company, I guess, is certainly became obvious to both of us early on, and that's what it was about. We have in a lot of ways we have a curated list of products, and yeah, and we don't. Yeah, we're privileged in the sense that we don't have to. Our job has never been to try to sell them. That's never been the goal. We've been lucky in that. I'd love to take credit for it. I'd love to say we were geniuses that somehow figured out how to make that happen from the beginning. But in reality, we were just extremely lucky that it worked out that way, and that that meant we got to focus on all those aspects of it, and just how do we support a customer that is approaching us with a need to automate for the first time. My favorite stories, and there's, it's a lot of them, but it's a lot of phone calls that our support team and our customer team get that really start with some version of, hey, we make this, we make guitars, we make surfboards, we make ice sculptures, we make whatever it is, and we make them by hand, and our business is successful, but we can't keep up anymore. We know we need to automate, but we have no idea how to do that. Like, this seems like the right, we searched around on Google a little bit. This seems to be the right path. We know we need a CNC machine, but we're not really convinced we can do this. So our job is to really convince them that they can, like Aaron said, and to show them how, and to show them that we have the support for it and the materials for it, and all of that. And it starts with getting your machine, and it starts with putting it together and learning how it works in the process, and then going through all of the great material that our team has put together to show you how to start to use it, and all of that. It's amazing. It's amazing to get those first few videos and pictures and phone calls from the things from that customer getting up and running, and, hey, I made 10 of these today instead of one. It's amazing.
Got it.
It's great being part of, in a lot of ways is a new wave of a different kind of manufacturing in this country and around the world. It's this sort of micro manufacturing everywhere. We're really proud to be part of that, and I think that's amazing.
Right, and we have, in terms of accessibility and being able to build your own machines, our machines are so customizable that you can adjust and make it exactly whatever the goal is that you're trying to accomplish, right? So if you're making ice sculptures and you need a specific size for your ice blocks, we can help with that. And that's a really interesting thing, I think, is helping you with your specific goals, and being able to send machines all over the world is also an incredible thing. I think. How did we transition into doing more international machine placements?
I mean, I should let Aaron talk about that too, but I'll just say briefly from my perspective. We migrated to that by answering the emails and phone calls we got from international customers and figuring out how to do international logistics. Like so many other aspects of the company, we weren't trying. It just, we got noticed, and people, just like in this country, in every other country, wanted our machines as well, and we had to figure out how to fulfill that need with a product uniquely. A platform product, uniquely positioned to do well there.
Yeah, I think Eric's right. Like, I think a lot of machinery companies, like, they would probably like to sell more internationally, but it's difficult. The logistics of shipping a large machine are more complicated than shipping a machine as a kit, and more expensive. And so, yeah, just we've had enthusiasm globally for the things that we sell, and recently, Sammy, you and Corey have been working with content partners and international content partners that have helped grow that circle of people who are interested in what we do. But yeah, just being able to answer those people and say, well, you know what? Sure, we can ship a machine to Australia. We'll figure out how to do it, and we have, and we've got good partners for that now, and some pretty clever people in our customer experience team actually who've grown some of that business. Jake Gregory is a guy we've had working with us for a couple of years now, and he's done a really remarkable job of um, working with various different logistics vendors for getting, and different ones do different things to different countries. And so navigating all that and knowing, the best way to get a machine to somebody is something that we've learned. And he's been a big part of that.
It's been a uniquely challenging year for that in our, and I think, yeah, again, just very proud of our team and our company and everybody involved. The fact that we've been able to continue to grow that market, regardless of the global situation, and really seeing it thrive. I'm just like with a small business, just supporting a small business in this country or anywhere else, supporting a real manufacturing need in different areas of the world is something we're super proud to be part of too. And there's various outreach programs and things like that we're involved in, that we're also lucky and privileged and excited to be getting into and launching and finding new ways to support people all across the world.
Right. And so we have machines all over the world, but most of our machines are built and assembled here. I know that we're very vertically integrated, where we get to have a lot of control over how our parts are made, where they're made, and we do all of our electronics assembly, controller assembly in-house. Can you tell us a little bit about why you made those particular choices when kind of building up the business?
Yeah, I mean, I think some of that we have grown into. Some of it's been with us from the start, like the machined parts that are the core mechanical components of our systems have always been made here in the U.S. And in fact, the guy that we started with is still with us, and that shop, uh, the one in our video tour, like I said, started with 2 machines and I think it's up to 22 machines now. So some of that has been along for the ride the entire time. Some of it, building the electronics ourselves, that has really scaled with the scale of our business. It's become more efficient, and better quality control for us to be doing all that in house, just because we, rather than sending parts all over to get assembled into things and having to deal with the logistics of that and showing people how to and do things remotely. Just training our own people to build things has been eye-opening in terms of the efficiency we're able to get out of that and just the quality we're able to get out of it.
Yeah, I'd echo. We've been doing this for a dozen years now, and we've definitely run a lot of experiments in those areas. We've definitely there's a balance between what do you outsource, what do you keep internal, and in our case, like what goes out as a kit that the customer puts together versus what you assemble. And that balance between those three things has really changed quite a bit over the years based on the level of service required, the level of support required, and the value proposition of all of that, and striking the exact right balance on all of those things for this overall solution, being at the right value. The right value, the right level of accessibility, and all of that. There's a happy medium in there, and I like to think we're a lot of our job is just to make sure we're finding that and striking the right balance between all of those things to deliver these solutions that sort of are ideal across those three aspects.
Well, we've got to hear a little bit about the background of our Avid CNC and how we've grown to where we are.
As far as our roadmap, forward goes, and honestly, looking back, I'd like to, of course, there's always a long list of things that you want to do, and we'd love to do them all at once, but that's not possible, and so you prioritize, and um, our machine architecture, our machines, are just our product catalog in general. Again, just I think we're very proud of the fact that it's a very curated list of solutions, right? We're not just we don't resell anything that isn't core to our machines. We don't put out 1,000 versions of something as choices because we want to sell them. We really try to zero in and nail down a specific solution to a specific problem, and whether that's early days, Aaron designed a bunch of router mounts to fit a bunch of different off-the-shelf routers, hand routers that you could buy at any big box store, and for the DIY community and lower cost systems. And when it came time to add a real spindle solution to our system, it's an example I like to look at. There's a lot of choices out there. There's a lot of off-the-shelf variants, and it came down to, okay, well, for our typical customer base, what's the right thing to do? Nailing down, settling initially on a 3 horsepower spindle that's air cooled, so that high quality air cooled spindle, so that it didn't require a whole, all the extra apparatus for water cooling and just complications to add that to your machine, making it a simple solution that was integrated with our existing mechanical solution, worked with the same router mount system, and it was with electronics that were backwards compatible and designed to be as inexpensive as possible, but also while also being giving you all the features that you would expect without compromise, and being integrated with everything like that. That's our approach to everything we do, right? We stand behind everything as like, this is the solution that we recommend, that we stand behind. And Aaron, you could probably speak better to me. That's the solution
that's the one that I want on my machine. Like that's really what it comes down to. Like when we're looking at these things, I want to make sure if we're developing a product, one of the sort of litmus tests for whether we're doing it right is, do I want this on my machine? And yeah, I can pretty much say across the board, I do. So yeah, there's some things in the works that are going to be interesting and exciting, and we try not to. It's really important to us that when we release a new product, that it be right and that it be supported. And so in some cases that means that like Eric said, we're not a marketing driven company. So we're not just going to say, we're going to have this product available on this quarter at this price, and then we're going to make that happen no matter what. We try to do, we try to have schedules for the products we release, but it's more important to us that those products be high quality, that they're supported, and that they are, things that we're going to be proud of having on the market.
Right. And I think that a lot of our customers, and I definitely appreciate that approach, and I'm sure our customer experience team also appreciates that approach as well, because we'd like to have prescribed solutions, things that are integrated really well on all aspects of how you interact with the machine, and making sure it fits and works together, right? So
and we have them to sell, like there's a lot of pressure when you've procured all the parts and kits and everything, and technically we could sell this product, but not till we have all the support documentation done, and not till we have all the manuals and the materials to show you how to use it and all of that. Like we really try to do it right. We've learned, I can't say that's always been a perfect discipline around here, from the early days. Like, again, things that we've learned, to not put things out there too early, when there's that can create more confusion or more headaches than it's worth, right? We want to do it right and have it ready. And, like we alluded to before, it's not just for new customers, right? We put an awful lot of energy into like, okay, the solution is great, and how does this integrate with our system? Well, if we changed our system in these 4 or 5 ways, then it would be easy. But that leaves behind the thousands of people that already have these machines out in the field. So throw that idea out, and we got to do it in a sometimes more expensive way. It's definitely a more complicated way from an engineering perspective to come up with a simple solution where we can make this product available for everybody that has our machine, that wants it.
But that's really integral to the system that you've created, so that the machine can grow with a small business. As they get a small machine for their garage, and then they've sold enough parts and can afford to move into a larger shop, their machine can grow with them and their business. And I think that the architecture of our machines allows for that a lot in the structure of it, but then also all of the additional products and add-ons as we continue to grow as well. So I think that a lot of us can appreciate that approach. Do you have any last funny stories you want to share with anybody?
I mean, we're thinking, story. I'd say, in addition to being, proud of our team and excited to work with everybody every day, part of growing, I think, part of growing and bringing on new people that get integrated to the team, I've lately enjoyed, meetings are invariably bigger, teams are invariably bigger than they used to be. There's people that have been with us forever, but it's the new folks, and you look at their sideways glances like, are these guys serious? Someone else like explaining to them, no, just let them talk and get the jokes out of their system. It's just part of every meeting. You just have to, there's a lot of shorthand. I think Aaron and I are both now forgetting who's in on the joke and who's not anymore, because there's so many people, and
it doesn't matter. Somebody will explain it.
Some of them will like, it was never funny anyway, so just don't interrupt. It'll be over sooner.
I do think an anecdote that ties this all up that could be good, because it brings Mark back into things, is we had so we have a lot of people who work really hard for us. And when we first started this company, we dabbled with getting some summer interns. And so we had a couple of, they were high school kids who were summer interns and the only people in the shop were me and Mark at the time. And so the interns were supposed to be back helping with shipping and assembling a few things, but they were pretty young, and most of the time they were busy spinning themselves around in chairs in the back. And I didn't see most of this because I was running around and was, doing CAD work and things like that. But Mark saw it, and so he stopped these 2 interns and said, "Hey, Aaron isn't paying you to spin chairs." So he took their chairs away. And they had to stand for the rest of the week. And so the term chair spinner has stuck with us as a pejorative term. And we don't have any chair spinners working for us right now, so we appreciate
one of those chair spinners, stuck with us through high school, through college, as summer interns, as they got their own engineering degree and interested and moved on to more, moved on to other things and other experiences. But wow, that goes back quite a ways.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Indeed.
Well, thank you both so much for sharing the narrative and the history of Avid CNC, and I'm sure we're going to have to do another update next. This should just be a end of year tradition, I've decided. So thank you.
Well, thanks for setting it up, Sammy.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, we're used to kind of hanging out in the background, so it's a little different to talk to folks, so it's nice.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining, and